Hello students, welcome to Shri Guru online chemistry classes. Myself Chincholi Sanjeev Kumar sir. Hope you all are safe at home. In today's class, let me introduce the topic which is very important and basic topic in first year chemistry syllabus, and the topic is classification of elements and periodicity in properties. Classification of elements and periodicity in properties. Periodicity in properties. Before I talk on this topic, let one should know what is the weightage of this topic in the main annual examination paper. The weightage of this topic is 4 marks. The weightage of this topic in the annual paper main examination is 4 marks. This 4 marks, it appears as 1 mark 1 question, 1 mark 1 question in the part A of the main paper, and 3 marks 1 question in the part C of the main paper. I repeat, this 4 marks split into 1 mark 1 question in the part A and 3 mark 1 question in the part C. Sometime when you look into the previous papers, sometime you may get directly 3 mark 1 question, or again this has also sometimes I said split into 2 mark 1 question and 1 mark 1 question as bit A, bit B. This is how the weightage of this topic. Though the weightage of this topic in the main paper is 4 marks, but I tell you, the entire inorganic chemistry stands on this topic called classification of elements and periodicity in properties. Dear students, as you know, the medium of instruction is English. I appeal for most of the Kannada medium students. It doesn't mean that I am underestimating you all, but at the beginning, as the medium of instruction is English, we have to teach the concept in English only as per the direction of PU board. So you might feel difficulty at the beginning classes, 1 or 2 classes, and later on definitely you will get familiar with the mode of teaching and the medium of teaching. So at the beginning, to sort out the problem, your personal problem, what you have to do, the key words, if you are not getting the meaning of those words, definitely the concept is not going to be clear, and I suggest and an appeal to you all to have a pocket dictionary with you when you look into the hard copy of these notes, classification of elements and periodicity. Beginning, you should look into the dictionary so that it will help you to overcome your problems. This is my appeal, especially for Kannada medium students. Come on, let's look into the title, classification of elements and periodicity in properties. There are chapters which are continued part of the chapters which you studied at your high school studies. So it is one among such a chapter. This is one among such a topic. Already this you have studied under the heading periodic table. If I ask you what are the number of periods and groups in the long form of periodic table or the modern periodic table, one would answer very easily. You are familiar with the statement of Mendeleev's periodic law, modern periodic law. These are all the things which you read and familiar with you. But here you are going to study in detail what you studied. The continued part in detail you are going to cover in the topic under first year chemistry syllabus. As a basic, I said. Come on. Looking into the title, it has two parts. Hope you can follow it. It has two parts: classification of elements and periodicity in properties. So the topic consists of two parts. First, the elements were classified. So history about the classification of elements. And second is periodic properties. As to speak on this topic, it consists of two parts. First part deals with the classification, history of classification of elements. And the second part is the periodic properties. The periodic properties. Here, I just go through some of the primary terms that one should know. Now, what an element in the introduction part? What an element? Hope you know. Elements are the pure substances. Elements are the pure substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. I repeat, these are the elementary terms one should know before we start or go through the topic. What elements are? Elements are the pure substances which are made up of only one kind or only one type of atoms. For example, gold. Gold is made up of gold atoms. Copper is made up of copper atoms. Sodium is made up, sodium is made up of sodium atoms. So this is what? Elements are the pure substances which are made up of only one type of atoms. Next, classification. What is meant by classification of elements? The systematic grouping of elements possessing the similar properties together is nothing but classification of elements. The grouping of elements with similar properties together is nothing but classification of elements. What is classification? The systematic grouping of elements with similar properties is nothing but classification of elements. So what it results if the elements were arranged systematically, if the elements were grouped systematically, what in turn we get? We get periodic table. What we get? We get periodic table. Periodic table is systematic classification of the elements that results in the formation of a periodic table. Periodic table. Now, the term periodic also we should understand before we start a particular concept. What is periodic? Dear students, periodic means it is a repetition. It is nothing but a repetition. It is a repetition after a certain gap. After a certain gap. A periodicity with respect to elements. Periodicity with respect to elements is nothing but repetition of the properties of elements. Repetition of the properties of elements after a gap of certain atomic numbers. What is the meaning of periodicity? Periodic means a gap, a certain gap. General or common meaning of periodic is gap, repetition after a gap. That periodicity with respect to element is nothing but the repetition of the properties of elements with a gap of certain atomic numbers is nothing but periodicity. Come on, here we have collected primarily the meaning of three terms. First, first elements. Elements are the pure substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. Classification, the systematic grouping of elements based on the properties, based on their similar properties is the classification. And the systematic classification of elements results in the formation of a periodic table. Then what is periodic? Periodic means a repetition after a gap. In a common way, a repetition after a gap. And the periodicity with respect to element is nothing but repetition of the properties of elements after a gap of certain atomic numbers. That is what the primary terms we have covered in the introductory part of this topic. Now, what are the terms we got? We have come to know regarding the terms elements. Slowly I go through the first topic. Later on you will cope up elements. Next, meaning of classification. Meaning of classification. Then periodic table. Then periodicity. These are the terms. Periodicity. Before I go to the next part, let element. These are the pure substances which are made up of only one kind of atoms. Only one kind of atoms. Classification, the systematic grouping of elements with similar properties. The systematic grouping of elements with similar properties, that nothing but classification. PT, periodic table, the systematic classification of elements that results in the formation of a periodic table. Then what is periodicity? It is a repetition of the properties of elements. A repetition of the properties of element with a gap of certain atomic numbers. That means elements do repeat. Properties of the elements do repeat with a gap of certain atomic numbers, which we'll cover in the succeeding part. Next point is, after collecting these informations, primary, I feel. Next we go through what is the need. What is the need for classification? Need for classification of elements. Need for classification of elements. Dear students, in the year 1800, there were only 31 elements. For your kind information, in the year 1800, there were only 31 elements were known. 31 elements were known. They were known. Later, in the year 1865, the number of elements nearly doubled, even more than doubled. 63 elements were known. In the year 1800, hardly there were 31 elements were known at that time. But in the year 1865, after 65 years of development in chemistry and science, 63 elements were known. Let's see, at present, we have 118. We have 118 elements. At present, we have 118 elements, and the discovery of new elements is not yet over. It is still continuing. It is still continuing. I'll go back a sentence. What is the need? Why a chemist felt necessity to classify them systematically? I'll go through this. In the year 1800, we have only 31 elements. 1865, the elements number increased as a result of discoveries. 63 elements were known, but at present we have 118 elements, but yet the discovery of new elements is not over, not yet over. It is still continuing around the clock. Let's see, when there were only 31 elements, for example, if there were only 63, suppose if 31 students are there in the class, okay, it is an affordable class, we can take care of individual. Even if it is increased to 63 at present, the class strength, if you take a section wise, 63 is also affordable at present. Can we accommodate 118 elements, 118 students in a class? You think for a while. If there were 31 students in the class, okay, we can take off individuals who is listening to the lecture, who is writing, copying the points, who is talking there, everything will be noticed individually if there were only 31 students in the class. To a certain extent, if there were 63 also, yes, okay, we can monitor them. But when the number increases to 118, personally what I feel, in my class if there are 118 students, I can't concentrate on all of them. Speaking honestly, I can't concentrate on all of them. Definitely that class going to be a disturbed class. Same as I took the example of a classroom, the same what a chemist felt. Let's see, when there were only 31 elements, the study of its properties and the nature of compounds formed by that element and the uses of that were known. Chemistry of all the 31 elements can be gathered very easily. At that time when there were only 31 elements, the chemistry of individual elements were collected very easily. But when it is increased to 63, when it is increased to 118 and further when it is continued, because of increase in the number of elements, their systematic study, both physical properties, chemical properties, the compounds what they formed and their uses, that become a difficulty for chemist. When there were only few elements, they can be studied very easily. But when their number increased, then the systematic study of elements, the study of individual elements has become difficult, which was become difficult. To overcome that difficulty, a chemist felt necessity. The chemist, they felt necessity for the classification of elements. This is the main reason for need for the classification of elements. In one sentence, what I tell you, earlier there were few elements and their properties were studied individually, but later on when their number increased, then it became difficulty to collect the chemistry of those elements. To sort out that problem, to overcome that problem, the chemists have felt necessity to classify them for their systematic study purpose. So this is what we covered under the need for classification. Let's go to the next part. So what are the process took place in the historical development of classification? Let's collect that one. Genesis. Next part is Genesis. Genesis for classification. Genesis for classification of elements. Genesis. Nothing but origin of classification of elements. Origin of classification of elements. In the classification of elements, there were many scientists who gave their priceless contribution for the classification of elements, for the periodic classification of elements. So when you go to the history, first and foremost, the pioneer, the person who sought out or who classified the elements, the credit goes to Dobereiner. Triad. Dobereiner's triad. Dobereiner's triads. A German chemist by name Johann Dobereiner classified the elements into a triads. What a triad is? Set of three elements. Set of three elements possessing the similar property is called as a triad. A group of three elements with similar property is called a triad. So he proposed a law of triads. In such a manner, he arranged the elements in such a manner in a group of three, in which the atomic mass of the middle element is nearly equal to the arithmetic mean of the other two elements. I repeat, what law of triad says? Triad means a set of three elements with similar properties. What a triad mean? I repeat again, a set of three elements with similar property is called a triad. So in the triad, he arranged the elements in such a manner that the mass of the atomic mass of the middle element was nearly equal to the average of the atomic masses of the other two elements. In the first triad given by Dobereiner, lithium, sodium, potassium, he arranged. Atomic mass of lithium 7 unit, that of potassium 39 unit. The middle element sodium atomic mass is 23. According to triad, how you got 23 is, the law of triad says the atomic mass of the middle element 23 he introduced in the middle of the triad as the average of atomic mass of lithium and that of potassium will give 23, and 23 is going to be the atomic mass of sodium. I repeat, what law of triad says? A group of three elements with similar properties were arranged in such a manner that the atomic mass of the middle element was nearly equal to the atomic mass of the average of the atomic mass of other two elements. Now let's look into another triad. So as this is the first triad, Dobereiner gave two more triads. Let's collect them. The second triad given by Dobereiner, the second triad, and the third triad was, let's see, element, atomic mass, element, atomic mass. Second triad, third triad. Second triad, Dobereiner again he arranged the three elements following the same rule as I shown in the first triad. So calcium, strontium, barium. Third triad, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Chlorine, bromine, iodine. Now again you can apply the triad rule here. Atomic mass of strontium, which is average of the atomic masses of the other two elements. Similarly, atomic mass of bromine is, now atomic mass of strontium, average of the other two. Calcium atomic mass unit is 40 unit. Atomic mass of barium 137. So it is 40 plus 137. 137 divided by 2, mean of this. So that gives 88.5. So 88 is the atomic mass of the middle element strontium. Similarly, atomic mass of bromine. So chlorine 35.5, iodine 127, 35.5 plus 127 divided by 2, mean of this. You will get 81.5. 81.5. So 80 is the atomic mass of, nearly, not exactly, nearly. Here you got 88.5. 88 is the atomic mass of strontium in the second triad. 81.5. 80 is the atomic mass of the middle element bromine in the third triad. Thus, Dobereiner triad, law of triad, gave us 3 triads. First one, second one, third one. Now let's collect the drawback. What was the drawback of this Dobereiner classification of element? What was the drawback? The main drawback was, I repeat, this Dobereiner's method of classification according to in a manner of triad was successful up to a few elements which were known at that time, but not all elements were not grouped into a triads. He was successful to give maximum 3 triads. So this was the main drawback. I repeat, what was the main drawback? This Dobereiner's mode of classification was restricted in getting only 3 triads. Maximum 9 elements were classified, and this was not extended to the remaining elements which were known at that time. Next, as a result of this drawback, this Dobereiner's classification, which was not gained much attention, thereby chemists were interested to look forward which results of another mode of classification by an English chemist by name Newland, John Newland. Let's look into the Newland's law of Octavius in the year 1865. In the year 1865, a scientist by name John Newland proposed a law. John Newland proposed a law in the year 1865. English chemist proposed a law of Octavius. According to this law, Newland arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic weights. He arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic weights such that every 8th element will repeat the properties of the first element. He arranged the elements in the increasing order of their atomic weights such that every 8th element will repeat the properties of first element. So he arranged lithium with atomic mass 7, beryllium 9, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Boron 11, carbon 12, nitrogen 14. I'll write the atomic mass separately. lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. 7 elements, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Eighth element will repeat the properties of first according to law of Octavius. He arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic weight. Lithium atomic weight 7, beryllium 9, boron 11, carbon 12, nitrogen 14, oxygen 16, fluorine 19. So in the increasing order of atomic mass, he arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic mass such that every eighth element will repeat the properties of first. Then after fluorine, the eighth element to lithium was sodium with atomic mass 23, magnesium atomic mass 24. Next, aluminium arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic masses. Lithium atomic mass 7, beryllium 9, boron 11, carbon 12, nitrogen 14, oxygen 16, fluorine 19. The eighth element to fluorine, after the fluorine, eighth element, according to law of Octavius, what it says, eighth element will repeat the properties of the first element, which is similar to the repetition of the eighth note in the octaves of music, like sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni. Sa, the eighth note is a repetition of the first in the octaves of music. Same way here, Newland's law of Octavius says every eighth, when the elements were arranged in the increasing order of atomic masses, every eighth element will repeat the properties of the first element. Thus, in the eighth element, sodium with atomic mass 23, magnesium 24, aluminum 27, silicon 29, phosphorus 31, sulfur 32, chlorine 35.5 atomic masses. Next to chlorine, eighth element is again follows the properties of first. Potassium mass number or atomic mass 39, calcium 40. Thus, you have a set of elements lithium, sodium, potassium, which are similar in properties, and beryllium, magnesium, calcium, which are found to have the similar properties. This is Newland's law of Octavius. This is the Newland's classification with the law of Octavius. So what are the drawbacks? The drawbacks of this Newland classification was the main two drawbacks are demerits. This Newland's classification with application of law of Octavius, which was successfully applicable up to calcium, element calcium. Later, the law of Octavius not applicable after element calcium failed. Why? Because after the calcium there was not noticed the repetition of the property after every eighth element. Then second main drawback was discovery of inert gases in the later year. The moment when Newland proposed the law of Octavius, the moment when the Newland gave out the law of Octavius, at that time noble gases were not discovered. So when the noble gases were discovered, when they were placed, then that is going to disturb the law of Octavius, that going to become fail. after the discovery of inert gases, when they were introduced into this with the role of increasing their atomic masses, and the law could not be applicable. These are the drawbacks of Newland's law of Octavius. Next to Newland, which was Lothar Meyer, again a German chemist, Lothar Meyer, who gave out the similarities of the physical properties with their atomic masses. Lothar Meyer, in the year 1869, a scientist by name Lothar Meyer, who studied Lothar Meyer curves. What he did, he took the physical properties such as atomic volume against the atomic mass. One of the property, atomic volume against atomic mass, and he obtained a curves of different nature. So he obtained a curve of different nature. So he obtained a curve of this kind. What he noticed, when he plotted the parameter atomic volume against the atomic masses, he obtained, for example, he obtained for the element like lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. For the element cesium, he obtained a curve. He obtained the curve of different nature, but the position of those elements were occurred at the peaks. You can notice here, lithium was at the peak of the curve. Similarly, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium. This shows similarity in the properties, similarity in the physical properties of element with respect to atomic masses. So I conclude the contribution or a kind of study made by Lothar Meyer. He studied the physical properties with respect to their atomic masses and obtained a curve of different types. With this atomic volume and atomic mass, he obtained a curve. By the curve, he came to a conclusion that for the elements with similar properties, they were occupying the same positions in the different curves. This curve different from this, but occupying the peak of the curve. The elements with similar properties were occupying the same positions and the different curve. So this was the study made by Lothar Meyer, and Lothar Meyer concluded that the physical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. He concluded with a statement. He established a statement, and the statement was physical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses or atomic weights. So this was the establishment made by Lothar Meyer by studying the physical properties against atomic masses. Then next, in the same year 1869, a scientist by name Dmitry Mendeleev, in the same year, similar kind of studies individually made by different scientists. In the year same 1869, Dmitry Mendeleev Dmitry Mendeleev, in the same year, he was also able to study the properties of elements, but the properties were chemical properties. Then what Dmitry Mendeleev gave out, he also established a law called Mendeleev's periodic law. He established a law called Mendeleev's periodic law. So the individual work by Lothar Meyer and the Dmitry Mendeleev. Lothar Meyer say physical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic weights. Mendeleev, he gave a law. So he was studying the chemical properties. He was of the opinion that the chemical properties of the elements are periodic functions of their atomic weights. Mendeleev considered the contribution given by Lothar Meyer and proposed a law. This was universally accepted, and that law was Mendeleev's periodic law. Mendeleev's periodic law states that physical and chemical properties of elements physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic masses. This was the law given by Mendeleev. He considered the contribution made by Lothar Meyer and the contribution of himself, and put together, modified his law into a famous periodic law called Mendeleev's periodic law. Mendeleev's periodic law states that properties of elements, both physical and chemical properties of elements, are periodic functions of their atomic masses. Conclude today's class with the statement of Mendeleev's periodic law. Mendeleev's periodic law states that physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic functions of their atomic mass or atomic weights. Let's conclude this class, and continuation of the topic we'll see in the next video. Thank you.